Let us leave aside for a moment how outrageous that is. Let's talk instead about how unsustainable it is. And I'm here to tell you that your pensions are not going to be paid, not at the level that they're promising. And the reason is because the cities, when they write you your check every other week, are not setting aside enough money for your future employment. Believe me, they've got geeks and accounting weenies that know exactly how to calculate that money, and they're not setting aside enough. Now, in CalPERS, they will claim to calculate this, but their calculations assume that their investments are going to get 7.5% each year over the next 20 or 30 years. Now, that is nice, that's happy talk, but out there in the real world of investing, a world in which I spend a lot of my time, such returns are not possible. You cannot get an insurance company to buy that risk off of you. So if you went to an insurance company today and you said, hey, look, I got Paco Gomez here. Paco Gomez, a long-term employee here. He'd been in the administrator for years, put it in. We promised him this much money. He's making $85,000 a year, so forth and so on. And we want you to write an annuity policy for him. An annuity policy is just an agreement to pay out so much money over time, right? And usually buy it with a lump sum down. Well, that insurance company would be happy to write Paco, but his benefits aren't going to be that great. And the reason is because the insurance company is going to use a very different rate of return. Yes, I know they're making a profit, but their profit is not that big.
Well,
go ahead.
What do you suggest in exchange for the current system that's set up now for retirement?
If you would, let me go back to the problem here for a minute. And once again, I'm speaking to public employees in a lot of ways. And I'm going to discuss the solution, which I think is fair. But let's go back to this and take an example for here in San Marino.
Okay, let me just
yes.
So you're not against public employees having a pension or a retirement.
No.
You just think that the system is unsustainable and needs to be changed.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I do oppose, the kind of program that you have right now for people, most public employees, and I say most because the plan is changing, is what they call a defined benefit. Plan. So in your pension plan, you are promised a certain amount of money in the future. Most private sector people, employees, are on a defined contribution. That is, at the end of 2 weeks, whatever I pay an employee, I add an additional amount of money to go into their 401k plan. That money is sent to the 401k company. Right now, those are called deferrals. They're salary deferrals. I send it over to them, and that employee and I are done. We're even every 2 weeks. And if you're one of my employees or a private sector employee, you've got that money. You've got it right now. Now, if you play around with that and you don't send your money over there, you're going to get a knock, knock, knock from the Department of Labor. And they're going to come in and turn you upside down and inside out and take that money and give it to the employees. Now, let's compare that to what happens over in cities. Cities will not let you do it. In fact, if you tried as an insurance company here in the state of California to write an annuity to make the same promise to an employee, which used an assumption of 7.5%, the state of California itself would shut you down as an insurance company for investment fraud because you would not properly reserved for that. They would put you out of business. All right, so let's use an example here and give you a quick one off the top of my head. city of San Marino, one of the wealthiest zip codes in the United States, right?
Yes.
It's a lot of Asians, but a lot of old money over there. Very affluent. God, there's not a more beautiful city. All right. Their current pension plan, according to CalPERS, is $22 million underfunded. Now, that's just with their phony returns, right?
Right.
They're $22 million underfunded, and they don't have any plan for paying it.
So where do they get the money to pay out to these people? I mean, is it something that they're doing on loan, or how do they pay?
No. What happens, here's how CalPERS works. CalPERS works just like an insurance company. You're charged so much money by CalPERS, right? And they send the city a bill. You're a member of the California Pension and Retirement System, and that means hundreds of cities and counties and other government entities participate. So they tell you, hey, look, here's what your yearly contribution is going to be, but they understate it because they think they're going to be getting more returns on their investment. And so the cities right now are starting to get higher and higher bills. Now, the bad news is, Aaron, is even that $22 million, if you went down there today and wrote CalPERS a check for $22 million, that wouldn't get you off of the hook. You're still going to have to stay there forever. And the dirty secret is that if you use what is known as the risk-free rate of return, that is a more realistic return on investments, San Marino's market liability, their pension fund liabilities, are to $90 million than it is to $22 million. Now, that's a city of 10,000 people.
That's
right?
A huge debt.
Huge. And they've got $40 to $50 million worth of deferred maintenance. So when I tell public employees that now that's San Marino, you might say, oh, well, you just need to go down there and turn those people upside down and say, no, that's not going to work. It's way too much money. And when you go over to cities that are less affluent, and there's many of them around. Does anybody remember the city of Bell? Can you spell it?
Right. When you had city council people, they were making, $500,000 a year?
Correct. But we have that same thing going on in all of our cities. They're called cops. So you have police and firemen. Now, you go through all these things. You go to our website at CTLC.net, California Tax Limitation Committee. You will see salaries and benefits posted. You have a lot of cops, excuse me, that are taken home grossing $250,000, $300,000 a year with overtime.
Well, that's not the average police officer on the street or the firefighter. These are the administrators, I would imagine.
Oh, no. This is captains, lieutenants, sergeants, and other people. Aaron, don't feel bad. I can't tell you how many very sophisticated residents of the San Gabriel Valley have come up to me and have said, God, Mike, thanks for sending that stuff out. We didn't know. We had no idea it was that bad. Now, the California, there is a state organization or state firefighting service, and they're California Firefighter, I forget what it is, but in any event, their median salary and benefits are $180,000, $190,000. It is astonishing. You screwed up, and so did I. When you didn't find a way to go to the police academy or drive a fire truck. I mean, those guys are making a lot of bank now. When you get up, you start looking at their salaries. This is why this obligation is ticking up, and very soon we're going to have. Is that the music I hear?
No, it's everything outside.
and very soon we're going to find cities like the city of Los Angeles, who are paying on track to pay more for people who used to work for the city than are currently working for the city, and that's going to mean fewer services. It's going to be a decline in service levels. It's going to be a decline in the number of employees.
Right. I remember hearing about not only with city retirements or municipal retirements, but other companies and all that, because lifespans are longer now. They're extending longer, and you have more people that are on them, so they're trying to find a way to increase the revenues to pay out all of these pensions.
Right.
Now, We could go on with that for a long time, but I want to talk to you about the school reform.
Thank you.
Tell me about that. Now, how did you get interested in it, and what's your platform on that?
All right. Well, you asked three questions. Let me start with one. How did I get into it? Well, I've been a lifetime beneficiary of good schooling. In my own case, I went to Catholic schools. My parents sacrificed to put me and my brothers through Catholic grammar school, Catholic high school, and I later on went at least 2 years to a Catholic university before I went to USC Law School, which is another private institution. So I know what real education has done for me. And I'm acutely aware of what it can do for others. I'm even more acutely aware of the fact that so many kids in our state are not getting a quality education, and there is no excuse for it. And all you have is bureaucrats coming back with another 5-year plan, just like their Soviet sisters in Russia. This does not. How many minutes we got over there, David?
Just about 5.
Just about 5. Okay, that lets me know how deep to go into this this first part. And this also goes to show you what our overall political situation and how our organization, TPAC and CTLC, California Tax Limitation Committee, how we changed. We realized that nobody was going to get the changes in the state of California that are necessary through the regular political system. Republicans, whatever's left of them, and the Democrat Party. We have a one-party state here, and it's a crony state. The average Californian is not part of their considerations. They're running it for their own benefit, and a lot of fringe groups. What we have left for us is the initiative system in the state of California, and our organizations are now devoted to using the local and the statewide initiative to get the results that we need. And we, the people, will have to act as a legislature of the people to exercise our rights under the California Constitution to get the rights, to get the changes that we need. And there is none that is more urgent than public schools. And one of the reasons why I like the initiative process is that it gets us out of the Republican versus Democrat paradigm. It gets us outside really of the liberal versus conservative dispute that is really centered around parties, and gets us down to real issues that affect real people so that we can discuss these issues despite some of our philosophical differences, that is ideological differences. We can discuss these problems despite the fact that we may belong to different parties and have different preferences for president. But the one thing that we can agree on, without a question, is that this state cannot move forward if we are failing to educate our children. And nowhere is this particularly more a problem than in the Latino community, in the black community, and all poor communities throughout the state of California. Okay. It is a terrible, terrible situation.
Can you give us a 2-minute wrap-up on why that happens and what you think can be done about it?
Sure. Yeah, it's because of the bureaucrats, and the solution is school choice, and it's very clear. If you have, we need to give the parents the $10,000 or $11,000 per year that we spend on average, and in LAUSD is probably over 20, but statewide average is $10,000 or $11,000, and let these parents take the children, take that money, go to a school of their choice, and educate their own children. This bigotry, this idea that Latino or black parents or single mothers or anybody else is somehow going to make worse choices for their kids than my mama made for me. Now, that's crazy. That's racist.
Yes.
That
Yes,
that is elitist. I refuse to accept that, and I know that these folks, what their children will do for them. I know that they will learn English. I know that they will succeed, and they must succeed and have all the tools that they need so they can participate fully in our economy, fully in our democracy. Whether they vote with me or not, I don't care.